This is the first new character origin story from the MCU that we've gotten since 2019 with Captain Marvel. That's been a long time. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today our movie in the middle is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Shang-Chi is the newest MCU movie about a martial arts master who confronts his past, as well as his father, who wields 10 magical rings. The movie stars Simu, Leung, Awkwafina, Tony Leung, Michelle Yeoh, and Fala, Chen. When I was in college, we had somebody come in to talk to us who was one of the creative directors of Marvel, and they pointed something out, that Marvel does this interesting thing that even though all their movies are superhero movies, they always try to do a different genre. And obviously, this one did a very different genre, and it is the first of its kind for Marvel, which is the martial arts kung fu movies, and that was really cool. You can see that specifically in the choreography. The action in this is, it's very, it's a lot of action like all the other Marvel movies, but in this one, there are a lot of instances where you can see very clearly influence from Hong Kong cinema, or most of Asian cinema, in terms of not only the actual fighting, but how they shoot it as well. There's a shot, I think it's in the trailer, where I want to say it's one of the actresses, and she's up in the air, and then there's an actor and he's on the ground, and it's slow-mo, she's coming at him. It just looks like it's straight out of Hong Kong cinema fighting. And so it was really, really cool to see that in this mainstream Marvel movie. Because not only is it just culturally new, not new, but for us, it's good to see it in these mainstream movies, but it just made it different. It was really cool, the style of fighting, and you could already tell thematically where it was going to go too, in terms of the type of fighting that's very aggressive versus the type of fighting that's it was almost like airbending, to be honest with you. And so it was cool to see where that was going to go as well, in terms of Shang-Chi and how he was going to be fighting later on. The action with the rings is also super cool. I was very excited. Probably the thing I was most excited about for this movie was to see how the rings were used, because once I saw them in the trailer, I was like, that's a new, interesting weapon I've never seen before. Because the rings and how they move and the power that they hold and how they work, they're very sturdy and very flexible at the same time. It's really cool. The way that, if all 10 rings are, in a line, they can, whip around and magic comes through them. It was just really, really cool. Every single thing that they were able to do with them, and it's clear that we haven't seen everything already with these rings. That's going to be in the next couple movies, we're going to be able to see more of what they can do. Kind of going along with the battles and the fighting as well, the scale of the movie was very interesting because it felt a lot smaller. Even in the final battle, where there is a lot happening, and it was this huge, I'm not going to say what it is, but this huge thing that happens, and it's a lot of visual effects, a lot of fighting, lots of, stuff in the air and on the ground, but it still felt small and intimate and personal, because it's about this one town, and it's about this one family, and so it was very cool to see that, because every time we have a Marvel movie, not every time, but a lot of times in Marvel movies, a lot of time in superhero movies, it's a very world-ending thing. Beam in the sky, everybody's at risk here, the whole Earth's gonna blow up. This was one town. Honestly, I feel like that's another thing that they took from Asian cinema is that a lot of times it is a lot more of a personal conflict. It's a lot more in like Seven Samurai. That's literally defending a town, and it's a lot smaller and just this group of people. And so it was really cool to have that, because it felt different. It didn't feel that mainstream. It didn't feel that generic fighting. In terms of the story and the characters, it was great because it was not formulaic to Marvel. Where you think it's going to go, then it goes a different way, and then it goes another way, and it just felt like this isn't one specific, straight through plot. There's different twists and turns based on characters. And honestly, one of the best characters for me is the villain. I won't say who it is, because it, depending on the trailer, you might be able to tell, you might not, it could be somebody else. But I will just say that the villain in this is, I almost want to just call them an antagonist, not a villain, because like most new Marvel movie villains, they're actually layered. They actually are well written because you can see why they're doing what they're doing. And it's not like they're full-on evil, but they're definitely not making good choices. And they're definitely not doing the right thing. But you can see why, and you can empathize with them. So it was definitely one of the better Marvel antagonists / villains, depending on how you see them. And I thought they were really well written. In terms of other characters, obviously Shang-Chi and Awkwafina, both of them were really good. My brother's not a huge Awkwafina fan, and he went to see this with me, and even he said that she was great. She didn't, as he put it, Awkwafina it up, which I think means just like be really, out of control and crazy, like she sometimes acts. Chickens are bitches! But no, she was really, really great in this movie. She was very funny. She was serious at times. She like really, her character was very like, I want to do the right thing. And then obviously Shang-Chi, or Sean, well, there's a big joke about that, but he goes by Sean. And he was great because as he's learning things and as we learn things about him, he's developed a lot more. I think that was my favorite aspect, is that there are some things about him we don't know. It's not that he just doesn't know it, but we don't know about him. So I thought that was a really interesting aspect to this character. There are other characters that pop up, mostly some cameos. I won't say any of them. If you've seen the trailer, you know 2 of them already. One of them obviously ties into the MCU currently, and then another one is from the past, and it was cool that they brought them in. However, there is another cameo that I am not going to spoil. I will say that no character goes wasted in Marvel anymore. They bring them back if they weren't done justice. So I will leave it at that, but it was really cool, very unexpected, and honestly, it worked. My lows are sort of nitpicky, but the beginning was a little generic, a little generically written. Honestly, the writing in the beginning wasn't my favorite, like for the first 15 minutes or so. It felt like, okay, this is another new Marvel movie. It's very exposition-y. It's a new character fighting. Blah, 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 blah. Then after that, it obviously gets better. It's Marvel writing usually. It's pretty top tier. The only other thing is that, like I said, it's not very formulaic because there's a lot of twists and turns in terms of what you think the plot's going to be and then where it actually goes, which was, it keeps you engaged. The only problem with that is that the first, third of the movie, I would say, a lot of different things are happening, a lot of different action that's pointing towards one plot. And while it's good that there's a twist, and the twist makes sense, the reason it was all happening didn't really need to happen. I can't explain it, but there's a character who enacts a lot of things that happen in the beginning of this movie, and they didn't really need to. They could have just kind of done what they needed to do without all of these action scenes. Obviously, wouldn't have gotten the action scenes, but it was like they could have done it a lot easier because it really just felt like, why did you go through all that trouble? You could have just done this. Overall, I very much enjoyed Shang-Chi. I think I did like this more than Black Widow, probably just because it is the first original character we've had in 3 years. And so it was really cool to see that fresh, new idea, these really cool rings and the power that they hold. And, it's still a Marvel movie. It's still funny. It's still got those quips and this really great structure and writing, while also being kind of fresh and new in terms of genre, in terms of characters, in terms of backstory. It almost felt like not a side quest for Marvel, but here's, this Infinity Saga and the multiverse and everything we usually are focused on. And then here's Shang-Chi, and it's going to tie in. But for now, it's we just get something different. And it was nice. I almost forget at times that it's a Marvel movie. So it was really cool. And obviously, the mid and end credit scenes are just, everybody's freaking out about them because there's a lot in them. So there's a lot of questions that come up, and it is very cool. So, of course, stay through the credits. I mean, why wouldn't you if you're going to go see a Marvel movie? I'm going to give Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings a 3.5 out of 4. Let me know what you guys think of Shang-Chi in the comments below. Do you think it was a worthwhile origin story? Are you excited for what he's going to do later on in the series? Just let me know all your thoughts, and make sure to like and subscribe and everything. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.